How did the Dursleys get off the rock? And how long were they stranded there?
This is the first connection that Harry shares with Voldemort.
So last chapter, I talked about how I went to Colorado, came back, did the super sleepy, tired episode that it turned out, okay, I edited it, so it turned out pretty good. It wasn't as bad as a train wreck as I thought it would be.
Well, that's good.
But the next day, I got sick. I was sick Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I went to work Wednesday, worked 3 hours, had to come home, and was out for the rest of the week.
Dang.
Turns out I had tonsillitis, so my week was very unproductive and uneventful. But you, sir, had a very busy and productive week, and I haven't heard how anything went. So what better time than now?
So I think I mentioned it before on the podcast. In a previous life, I lived out in Hollywood. I did acting. I did acting on the East Coast. I had agents in Charlotte and Atlanta and Orlando, and really enjoyed acting. Well, I haven't done that in a long time because I started having kids and went to chiropractic school and have been building a chiropractic practice. But recently got into acting with the community theater here. It was a lot of fun. I was offered a role a few months ago of one of the main characters in a play called Inherit the Wind. That was written back in the 1950s. Pretty cool play. Had a lot of fun with that. And they wanted me to play a part in a play called The Mousetrap, which is one of the longest running plays by Agatha Christie. I mean, really well-known play. And there was a conflict in schedule. It was supposed to start the weekend of the 28th, 29th of September, but I was down in Florida playing in a golf event, so I couldn't do it. Well, we had a hurricane here in the mountains of North Carolina, so it got pushed back. And one of the gentlemen in the play was having some health issues. And if you've never seen The Mousetrap, there's some things that happen at the end that really brings clarification to the play. And if you don't get all of those lines out, the entire audience will leave thinking like, well, I don't get it. I don't understand what just happened. I just don't understand what happened there. So one of the actors had some heart issues prior to the rehearsals. And then the opening weekend, he missed a big chunk of lines. And so I was called the next day to understudy his part. So if you know anything about theater, once the play opens, there are no more rehearsals. So typically in a big play, if it's Broadway or something like that, they'll have understudies from the very beginning that go to rehearsals, memorize the lines, know the blocking, know each other. I did not. So that one Thursday night, they called everybody together, and the gentleman that I was supposed to understudy was super late and didn't call anybody, so they thought I was going to have to immediately jump into that blocking session. But he showed up, he delivered all his lines, and so he has been in the play. I haven't needed to be in the plays, but I've had to be there or within a mile so that I can be dressed and all that stuff.
So when is the play over?
The play, there's still 2 more weekends. There's not one this weekend because the play got pushed back because of the hurricane. It was, people didn't have power for a week or so it got pushed back. And then there's another play opening this weekend that they're going to do it on that stage. And then the day after, the morning that I got called to do understudy of a character, my kids wanted to audition for. They were doing auditions for a Charlie Brown's Christmas.
See, that was one of my questions. Okay.
Yeah, so we went there, and they're doing it like you're watching it when it was originally released. So, Charlie Brown's Christmas was like 25 minutes. It's not a very long production.
Yeah.
So they're going to have like commercial breaks with comedic sketches, and they're going to have, singing and carol, different things like that. So my kids each got a part not in the Charlie Brown segment, but in the singing and the commercials. And when they emailed me, because there's two artistic directors, the artistic director over the entire theater and then the youth artistic director, which I have a great relationship with both of them. So I went and I sat down with the artistic directors as they were doing the auditions. And they're like, yeah, we really didn't get the turnout for auditions that we wanted to. What are you doing during that? I said, well, I'm understudying, the Mousetrap, and then, we'll see, to be determined. They're like, okay, cool, 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 cool. So a few days later, I get the email. They're like, okay, Andrew and kids, we've got parts for you.
Awesome.
And I'm like, I emailed back. I said, did you mean just for the kids? And they both emailed back, no, we've got parts for you to play. So, which is great. I have a fun time doing it. It's really cool now because the mentality, if you're ever a working actor, you want to go in, like your goal is to get every audition, which is it's impossible, right?
No,
I mean, you go in. So that mentality kind of changes how you enter the audition. You're like, what are they looking for? How would I do this? And you're just all in your head about it. Yep. And really, the more auditions you do, the more you realize that it has very little to do with what you do and everything to do with what they're looking for. So you just do what you do. If you get a call back, great. If you don't get a call back, great. I mean, like I could go into an audition and be absolutely perfect, but the casting director was imagining somebody 2 years younger, 1 inch taller, slightly lighter hair, and blue eyes. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's just things that are out of your control. So it's nice to go down to the Hart Theater. They're like, we want you to come down and participate. Cool. I'm a chiropractor. I don't know if everybody knows that I'm a chiropractor. So I've got to practice. I've got a wife and 3 kids, a dog and 3 cats. Like, I got a lot going on. So if I don't get a part, I'm cool, which actually gives me a huge competitive advantage because then I can just go there stress-free, have a good time. And they're like, yeah, come in. We want you to do the part. Okay, cool.
That's awesome. Welcome back, witches, wizards, and muggles. We are Squibs Corner. I am Jeremiah.
And I am Andrew.
And we are just going to get right into that 7-word summary so that we don't forget again. The mood-setting music right there. Go ahead. Take it away.
This is where the magic really starts.
I was going to go something along that line, but I chose the funnier route. I don't know if it's funny, but not funny, haha. Well,
I'll be brutally honest with you.
A giant just might change your life.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
I guess I should have put a giant unexpectedly might change your life. There we go.
Yeah, that could be applicable for Hagrid's dad too.
That's
change your life. Hopefully, it wasn't unexpected. Okay, so I'm just going to jump right in. So we're at chapter 5, Philosopher's Stone, chapter 5, Diagon Alley, and this for me and for other people that I've talked about that started reading the books, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapper 3, chapter 4. Chapter 5, I'm all in.
Yep.
This is the chapter that really got me. And I'm going to read the first paragraph, actually 2 paragraphs, because the first paragraph is like 2 sentences, right? So, first paragraph, Harry woke early the next morning. Although he could tell it was daylight, he kept his eyes shut tight. And then the next paragraph, he says to himself, it was a dream, he told himself firmly. I dreamed a giant called Hagrid came to tell me I was going to a school for wizards. When I open my eyes, I'll be at home in my cupboard. So the first sentences sum up what the previous chapter, what was the name of the previous chapter? Pop quiz, quick, go. Go.
Letters for no one.
No. Keeper the keys.
Oh, crap.
It was the pressure. All right. We'll see you guys on the next episode. It's been real. It's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun.
Yeah, we didn't tell you if we get an answer wrong. The podcast is over.
Stuff. Okay, so Uncle Vernon, so in Keeper the Keys, Uncle Vernon takes the family Ultimately, they end up on a small rock in the middle of the sea in an effort to get away from the letters from no one, which was chapter 3. But I think we all knew as readers, we understood that he wouldn't be able to outrun magic. I mean, that seems like an obvious. So we were right.
Yeah.
Magic caught up to them in the form of Rubius Hagrid, who is the half giant, twice as tall as an average man and 5 times as wide. He's a big, big man. Hands the
Mr. Trash
size,
Can Hands.
hands the size of trash bin lids, and feet the size of baby dolphins. Love it. Love it. Who is the keeper of keys at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where Albus Dumbledore is the headmaster. And we've learned that we do not speak ill of Albus Dumbledore in front of Hagrid. Hagrid respects him too much.
No.
So in this last chapter, Hagrid shows up. He tells Harry that he's a wizard and that he'll be attending Hogwarts, and term starts on September 1st. The Dursleys still try to protest because Uncle Vernon finds and loses and finds and loses and finds and loses his voice and courage.
Yeah.
But then he loses it after he speaks ill of Dumbledore, and instead of punishing him, Hagrid gives poor Dudley a little piggy tail. And then after a full, eventful few hours, right, it's at midnight that Hagrid shows up on Harry's 11th birthday. And what is Harry's birthday?
I can never remember the date. I'm terrible with birds.
July 31st. When is J.K. Rowling's birthday? July 31st.
Oh.
July 31st.
I said that. You just didn't hear it.
So after that little back and forth, it's late. They go to bed. And then on to chapter 5, Diagon Alley, one of my favorite chapters.
So a couple things to point out here. So a stranger came and took Harry away. One of Harry's wishes was that a stranger would come and take him away.
Oh, that is true.
So, yes, it's very freaky. That's the only thing I could. It's very freaky for that to come true, and you're like, yeah, let's go. And okay,
shows you how terrible the Dursleys are.
Oh, jeez, yeah, especially in that last chat. Ooh.
The worst.
Oh, yeah, let's not get back into that.
The worst, yeah.
But the other thing here, September 1st, that is a huge date in the Harry Potter community. If you're listening and you don't know, it's called Back to Hogwarts. So September 1st, I'll be honest, it's lost a little bit of its luster over the years. When I first learned about it, I was super excited about it. It was really in depth and in detail, and I think over the years it's kind of died down a little bit.
Sure.
Or it seems like they've become a little lazy with it. But I think on social media, they have this thing where they get like Harry Potter fans together, and we all just get there on YouTube or whatever and watch a live video, and we're just kind of all hanging out. But not only that, they didn't do it this year.
No, they didn't.
But usually at King's Cross Station in London, which is real. This is not a made-up thing. This is an actual thing.
But they did not film. They did not film at King's Cross Station.
I can't remember the reason why they didn't do it this year. It's really disappointing, actually. But people from all around the world join up at King's Cross Station. I always forget to turn my phone off. But people all over the world show up at King's Cross Station, and right at 11 o'clock on September 1st, a train conductor comes on the loudspeaker and announces the departure of platform 93, or the Hogwarts Express at platform 9 3/4. And I live nowhere near London, but man, I would just love to go out there and just experience that. Like, I'm sure there's all kinds of things there to buy and oh man.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Yeah, it would be. I'm getting my sound turned off on my phone now. Hank needs to quit interrupting us. He's quite rude. Every episode he's interrupting us.
When I lived down in Florida and we had passes to Universal,
I wish
we'd go to the.
How was it in Florida? I went to California, and I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed. Kind of small.
In Florida, it's
way
amazing.
touristy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
there's a lot more in Florida. Yeah, we're gonna take our son to Disneyland one of these years, and uh, I told my girl we got to stay there for like a week and a half. I don't know. I got to go to Universal Studios for at least 2 days. I mean, maybe even 3 because of how big I hear it is. So, and I need a couple grand to take with me because I'm a collector and I can't, So,
Oh yeah.
how was your experience there, though?
Oh, it's amazing. You have to have a 2 park pass in order to ride the Hogwarts Express because it takes you from one park to the other. So it
Yes.
takes you from Diagon Alley to Hogsmeade or from Hogsmeade to Diagon Alley or King's Cross. So yeah. So it's kind of where it's set up. You go through King's Cross Station or you can go through the King's Cross is right next to Diagon Alley. It's really neat the way they did
That's
it.
so awesome. All right, all right.
And what's wild?
Back
What's
up.
wild is it? What's wild is that you can walk right. You can King's Cross Station, and then you can walk right by Diagon Alley and not know it's there. Like it's just a brick wall with a couple of inches. Like it's not. It's crazy. Like you can
That's
people
awesome.
walk by it and
yeah,
not know it's
we,
there.
We actually get into that in this chapter. So, this chapter is a doozy. That's what's written on my paper. Doozy.
It's in the script. It's in the script.
It's in the script. So Harry wakes up the following morning, knowing it was, but hoping it wasn't, a dream. And Petunia's going to knock on that cupboard door. He's going to wake up. He's going to cook the bacon. Dudley's going to push him around. He's going to see spiders. Just all of it. But the next thing we know, he sees Hagrid lying there as an owl pecks him, and he's filled with happiness knowing it wasn't a dream. Hagrid was real, and he's really a wizard. Ugh. I'm just trying to put myself in Harry's shoes.
Oh yeah.
That's what I urge listeners to do: is put yourself in Harry's shoes. You are Harry Potter right now. Just imagine, just getting out of that terrible situation and the unthinkable. Literally, this is legitimately the unthinkable happening. Somebody telling you you're a wizard, but it's real. Ugh. Well, it's real to the point where Hagrid's there and someone told you you're a wizard. You haven't really. No, you did see magic. Oh, yeah, because of the
Saw
pigtail.
some magic. Yeah, the pigtail, the fire. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's about to get more real. So we get our first introduction into wizarding currency, and we will get into a side quest about that 100%. Because there's a lot to get into with wizarding currency versus U.S. currency. It's completely different. So Hagrid tells Harry to pay the owl 5 knuts for the paper. And Harry's like, what? And Hagrid tells him which one it is. And next thing they need to do is go to London to buy his book supplies. But Harry realizes that, what? I don't have any money. Of course he doesn't have any money. Why would he have money? He might have a paperclip.
And an old pair of Vernon socks.
Yes. and Dudley's hand-me-down uniforms.
Yeah.
Didn't know they had to be so wet. He learns that his parents left their money in Gringotts, which is a wizarding bank run by goblins. We then learn you shouldn't mess with goblins, and that's something that comes into play later, and quite often, I think. We also learn that Gringotts is probably the best place if you want to keep something safe, other than Hogwarts. He says he has to go to Gringotts anyways. Dumbledore's orders, Hogwarts business. Every time he says this, he stands up, super tall, like proud, puffs out his chest.
Yeah, Dumbledore, trust me. Yeah.
Yeah, see, there's that trust there again with Hagrid and Dumbledore. This is all leading up to a culmination right here, and I hope we can get into it in this chapter. So they leave, and we learn that Hagrid flew there. So I try to figure out what manner of flying Hagrid did, and the only theory that makes sense is he took a Thestral, and we'll get into what those are later, but that's the only thing, because if he took Sirius's bike, why would he leave it there? I don't think he can fly on a broom because
Too
not
big.
everybody can fly on a broom. It's something you got to learn. Like I don't know, like playing basketball or something. Not everybody can play basketball. They're not coordinated enough, you know. So yeah, if you guys have a theory, go ahead and write into us, and we would love to hear your theory. Or maybe J.K. Rowling herself has said how he got there. I can't find it. So that being said, they take the boat, starting one of the first universally asked questions: how did the Dursleys get off the rock, and how long were they stranded there?
Yes.
I've never thought about this.
Could you imagine them coming out like, "Oh, well, we came here to get rid of magic. Magic comes, they go out, and they're like, where's the boat?"
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
Well, they
no.
could have just. Vernon could have gotten the water. I mean, he's got the buoyancy, so
He's got
they
some
could have
buoyancy to
just,
him, yeah.
could've just kicked all
Yeah.
the way to shore, I guess.
Yeah, see
Well, I
that?
guess Petunia would have had to do the kicking because Dudley would have been complaining.
Oh my gosh.
But Hagrid, of course, uses magic to speed up the boat, and again asked Harry not to tell anybody. So this is, I guess, the second instance of magic we get to
Yes.
see,
Yes.
as far as the books go. But yeah, I've never thought about that.
Oh yeah,
Where'd
that's
the
one of
boat
the
go?
first. Yeah, like how long were they stranded there?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's like good. You guys just stay there and think about what you've done.
I can just picture Vernon walking out, and just
Yeah, upset at the night, didn't sleep, got bested. His gun, he can't even shoot the gun in the air. It's ruined. Like done.
yeah. Oh man, that's
So
good stuff.
so they're going back, they're on the boat, and Harry's head is just filled with questions. Obviously.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Obviously, it's filled with questions. And he asks, so Hagrid, when he talks about Gringotts, he says, anybody would be mad. It's one of the safest places on Earth to hide something. You'd be mad to steal from Gringotts. And he goes, why is that? And he's like, oh, well, there's spells, there's enchantments. There are possibly dragons there, and the vault can be hundreds of miles underground, underneath London. And if you went down there, and even if you got to steal something, you'd probably get lost and die in there before you even made your way out. So a lot of natural defenses.
I have a question.
Ooh, I love a good question.
When Dumbledore says, "I have a scar on my knee," that's the exact map of the London Underground. Is this the London Underground, or is that something else?
Yeah, so the London Underground he's referring to the subway system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what
This would have made sense too. I mean, of course, Dumbledore would know exactly what this looks like.
he's got a scar on his knee of Gringotts. The Gringotts monster. Yes. Yes.
Hey, I wouldn't put it
Yes.
past him.
So we see that Hagrid is reading a newspaper. So we get introduced to the Daily Prophet, which is the wizarding newspaper, and in Hagrid's reading, he mentions the Ministry of Magic. They mess things up again, and now Harry's got more questions.
Oh
And
man,
he's like, "There's a Ministry for Magic." He goes, "Yeah, of course." And then Hagrid says they wanted Dumbledore to be the minister. Dumbledore declines. Later, we learned that Dumbledore's asked multiple times, so he doesn't get it. And because Dumbledore declined the position, then Cornelius Fudge gets in there, and Hagrid right off the bat says, he bungles things up every time. Cornelius Fudge, not
and
a
he
good
does.
minister.
As we go on, we learn. But with Cornelius Fudge, we'll get into that later. 'Cause there's so much with Cornelius Fudge and the Muggle world that's left out of the movies, and it's
Oh my gosh.
it's such a good thing to include. Why would they have taken that out? Because it's a huge plot hole. Because
Yeah.
the
first chapter of year 5, The Other Minister.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
so
brilliant.
good.
I love it.
Yeah, so good. I can't believe they left that one out. Anyway. So we learned that there's a Ministry of Magic. What the Ministry of Magic, their main job is to, not what we would think, to protect wizards from being hunted and burned at the stake by muggles. But Hagrid says, no, they want to hide the witches and wizards because everybody would be wanting magical problems for their solutions. So
That's
it's
a way to
best.
think of it. So,
Yeah.
do you think? I mean, there's got to be multiple reasons why they're in hiding, which I think we should do another side quest on that. But
Ooh.
do you think that's one of the reasons, or do you think Hagrid was Harry's 11? I can't tell him exactly why we're in hiding, but this makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I don't think Hagrid has the depth of thought that Dumbledore has. We know that Dumbledore purposefully, doesn't reveal everything that he knows to Harry until, year six. I think, and Hagrid could be perfectly wrong, but that could just be what he thinks it is.
It's true
Like,
though.
like
I mean,
yeah,
they
Hagrid.
would want magical solutions to every. Why wouldn't
Yeah,
you? I mean,
yeah,
look at
yeah.
us. I mean, do we not want magical solutions to stuff? I mean,
I would love that. I would love that very
it's
much.
one of
I
the
would love
reasons
that.
why we're here, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's why we're doing this podcast. We want our magical solution.
yes.
Um, so we also learned, when Hagrid was talking about Gringotts, that he's always wanted a dragon. Ever
Oh
since he
yeah.
was a little boy, he's always wanted a. He's
What
always
a
wanted a
trip.
dragon. Yeah. So they're on their way to London, or he goes, "We're going to go to London. Pull out your letter. There's a list of your school supplies in there." So Harry pulls out the letter. There's another sheet in there, and he reads his list of school supplies, and it is thus:
We have to
uniform.
include this. We have to.
We have
And
to. We got to
not
know.
putting
Yeah.
this like we keep saying the first couple chapters, but first handful or two of chapters, it's hard to just brush
Yeah.
over stuff.
Yes. So the uniforms, the first year students will require one, 3 sets of plain work robes, black. Two, one plain pointed hat, black for day wear, which they really don't do in the movies, which I'm okay with. I mean, it is what it is. Three, one pair of protected gloves, dragon hide or similar. I don't know what's similar to dragon hide. One winter cloak, black with silver fastenings. Please note that all pupils' clothes should carry name tags. Also, something that we don't see in the movies, but
No,
it's not
we
really. It's
don't.
not
No.
really, not really talked. Like I think this is the only time that it mentions that in the books.
Yeah.
So then their list of course books. All students should have a copy of each of the following: The Standard Book of Spells, Grade 1 by Miranda Goshawk, A History of Magic by Bathilda Bagshot, Magical Theory by Aldebert Waffling, A Beginner's Guide to Transfiguration by Emetic Switch, 1,000 Magical Herbs and Fungi by Philida Spore, Magical Drafts and Potions by Arsenius Jigger, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by Newt
Yeah.
Scamander, The Dark Forces, A Guide to Self-Protection by Quentin Trimble, Other Equipment, Wand, Cauldron, Pewter, size 2, set glass or crystal files, telescope, set of brass scales. Students may also bring an owl or a cat or a toad, unless you're Ron Weasley, then a hand-me-down rat. Parents are reminded that first years are not allowed their own broomsticks.
That makes sense. But how crazy is it that Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by Newt Scamander is in there? The very first book. Come on. Full circle that goes. That is just I don't think I even caught it until I started doing this podcast the first time.
Really?
I was like,
Okay.
what?
Yeah. And
Is
even
this-
Bathilda Bagshot.
Yeah.
Like the fact that she's mentioned as just an author of a textbook.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And none of these books, you notice, no math, no science. There's history, I guess, but there's no
Potions and
normal.
herbology is science.
Yeah, but there's no
It's like
normal
biology.
classes like we have.
Yeah.
The Dark Forces, 1,000 magical herb and fungi. Like the books just sound interesting enough for me to go, oh yeah. What is this? Not a history book.
Yes.
That doesn't
Yeah.
grab my interest.
Yeah. I will read
it's-
all of this.
Yeah. Oh, I believe I do have like some off Harry Potter books wherever they're at right now, but Yeah, I'm curious to see if we dive into any of like the side books that are from Harry Potter.
I've got a few of them.
Yeah, I think I've got Quidditch Through the Ages, and I've got. They're not. Oh, there they are. I've got. Let's see. Harry Potter: A Magical Year. Let's see. Harry Potter Spell Book. Tales of the Beetle, the Bard. Yeah, I've got a
Yeah,
couple.
Tales of
Yeah.
Beetle the Bard. I've got that one.
Yeah, that one. No, that one is not in its package. I need to read that one. Anyways, so Harry reads this list and asks if he'll be able to get all these items in London. Hagrid, well, of course, as long as as long as you know where to go.
Good commitment. Good commitment.
You got it. So Harry's following Hagrid around all around London. They pass all sorts of shops, restaurants, malls, stores, but no place that looked like it would sell anything on that list. As a matter of fact, that's one thing I would have asked. Like, I've never even heard of it. We don't have stores over here like that. What? Like, no, this doesn't sound right. So again, Harry started to think this is a prank, but he trusts Hagrid for some reason, because I mean, like you said, he's not the Dursleys, so
Yeah.
and he's being nice. So they shopped. The Leaky Cauldron, the first magical destination that we're taken to as the reader. No one walking outside seemed to notice the Leaky Cauldron existed, and Harry Potter noticed this. He noticed nobody else was looking at this building. And I think that's a good detail to put in the book, because if you're not really thinking about it, it does say a lot to Harry's character that he's observant.
Well, even he says he wouldn't have noticed it unless until Hagrid stopped there.
Yeah.
And so then he looks around and nobody's looking at it. They're just walking past, and it's like, ooh, I like it.
He must have been. At this point, he must be looking for any sign of some sort of magic. Like, what are we doing that's special? Everyone seemed to know Hagrid inside the Leaky Cauldron, but when they all see Harry Potter is with them, everybody's in awe. They all line up to greet him. Some even shed tears of joy. These people are. They're stoked that Harry Potter is there. Harry found himself shaking hands with everyone in the pub, and he even recognized Daedalus Diggle, which Daedalus Diggle threw a huge fit over this. A happy fit. He remembers me! He recognizes me! And that is the second time we hear Daedalus Diggle's name. And I want to say it's the last, unless he's mentioned during the Quidditch tournament.
He's mentioned a few times in later books.
Okay. But yeah, imagine walking into this pub and everyone's talking and it goes silent and everybody just looks at you. Oh, I'd probably be like, what is everybody staring at?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
Well, and
can't
Hagrid told him when he told him you're a wizard, like, you're actually a pretty famous wizard. When this stuff happened with Voldemort, like, kind of a big deal.
He's finding out now. It's crazy. But then we meet Professor Quirrell. He has a stutter and will be teaching defense against the dark arts. So Hagrid says his stutter has something to do with him running into vampires, and he's never been the same since. Like, they kind of just scared him so much that he's never been the same. Hagrid had to break he and Harry away from the people in the bar because they probably could have been there all day long, and everybody in the bar probably would have loved it. They would have went for it. They would have been all right. They would have bought him anything they could have.
Doris was it Doris Crockford? She comes and shakes his hands multiple times. Keeps coming back through it. Yeah.
So yeah, he had to break him away. There was no choice. He would have got nothing done.
Yeah.
So Harry has his first introduction of how famous he is in a magical community. They go out the back of the pub. After some discussion, Hagrid starts counting bricks on the wall behind the leaky cauldron. 3 up, 2 across. He tapped the brick with the tip of his umbrella. The bricks began to wiggle, a small hole appeared, then it expanded into a large archway. Then they could see a cobble street that turned out of sight. This is our first introduction. Oh, it's great. So what would you think if somebody led you out the back door of the pub only to like a small little storage area that was enclosed?
Well, I just met this giant who took me, 11-year-old Harry, to a bar, to a pub, a dank-looking pub, a dark, dank-looking pub. And then he takes me outside, and we're just in this back little enclosure. All right.
Harry was so impressed and bewildered with this, he wished he had 8 more eyes. He looked at everything as they walked towards the bank, trying to take it all in. Diagon Alley. This is Diagon Alley. This is the wizarding world. We have finally stepped foot into... We have left the Muggle world. We are now where we belong now.
Yeah, we're there. We're there.
We're there. The shops, the goods, the people. We hear talk of the new Nimbus 2000, potion ingredients, owls, cauldrons, robes, telescopes, bat spleens, spell books, rolls of parchment. That's a lot to overhear. And now, if I'm Harry, I'm starting to get excited and super curious.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I want to see this stuff. The spell book? Yeah, point me. Yeah, yes. Is there a spell in there to make the Dursleys nice or make them vanish? I'm pretty sure that would be his first look. Now they get to the bank, and Harry sees a goblin. They go inside, and he reads, "Enter stranger, but take heed of what awaits the sin of greed. For those who take but do not earn must pay dearly in their turn. So if you seek beneath our floors a treasure that was never yours, thief, you have been warned. Beware of findings more than treasure here." Treasure's there. But Griphook is the name of the goblin that pretty much grants people access or denies them into Gringotts.
Yeah.
They enter the vast marble hall, goblins counting money, gold, rubies, gems, along with countless doors leading in and out. Hagrid asks to be taken to Harry's vault, and we see that he has the key. Of course, the keeper of keys.
He's got
now
the keys
that's starting
to
to
Harry's
make
vault.
sense.
Yeah.
He then presents a letter from Dumbledore about the you-know-what in Vault you-know-which is what's said in the movie, but in the book, you-know-what in Vault 713. Harry asked about the you-know-what in Vault 713, but Hagrid says he can't tell him that. It's a secret Hogwarts business.
So my question there is, did the goblins know? Because I feel like they would. Did the goblins know that it was the Philosopher's Stone in the vault? If he's saying there's a letter, it's about you-know-what. Like he's saying that to the bank goblin, it's about you-know-what in Vault 713. Because I feel like the goblins, like if you go to the bank today, they know what's in your account. You come, like, so they've got that. So like, do all of the goblins, like, is that part of their magic?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So
I always imagine they knew what was in there, just like they know what's in a certain other person's vault. I don't think they know the context of what's in that vault. Because the context is a big secret.
Right, yeah, no, they would never, they wouldn't know that.
But for this to be one package in the one vault, I would imagine they know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
They might not know. Well, goblins are very smart, so yeah, I'm going to go with they probably know exactly what it is.
I don't think they do. I think they know that it's valuable for what it was to the wizarding community, but I don't think they know what. Yeah, I don't think. And for everybody that's read the books, you know what we're talking about.
It's a toss.
The Lestrange vault, but
yeah.
So I love what the movie did to Gringotts. I think the only thing that they really changed is, in the book it says there's a bunch of doors leading in and out of the Great Hall, and in the movie it just looked like there was lines of goblin bank tellers, and then you kind of go out, which is how it is. It's almost exactly like that in Gringotts
Yeah.
in Universal, which is awesome. It's beautiful. So they say that, and he goes, "Okay." The goblin's like, "Let me get a guy," and now we meet Griphook, who plays a couple of cool parts in the series.
Oh, yes.
Takes him to a narrow stone passageway. When they go through there, it immediately looks different from the marble, beautiful, ornate, great hall, hall of the bank.
Yes.
Now it's like a mine shaft, So
Yeah, it's
there's
just a big hole in the ground with some trenches.
yeah, just a big
like
hole. They
Donkey
got
Kong. Like you're playing Donkey Kong.
yes, yeah. Torches on the wall, and then he notices that the passageway turns sharply down. And then a small railway car comes. They go down this maze of twisting passages. They pass a huge underground lake. Hagrid feels as though he's going to be sick. He does not like the ride to the vault. And it's so corny. I think it was her trying to play to 11-year-olds because they talk about going over the lake and they see the stalactites and the stalagmites. And Harry asks Hagrid, like, I never remember which
Yeah.
one are stalagmites. And he's like, oh, stalagmites has an M in it. It's like,
Yes.
okay. So they get to Harry's vault. Griphook unlocks the door. As it opens, it says like there's some green mist or green smoke, comes out of it. And then Harry, who's never had a dime to his name, sees this small fortune there. There were mounds of gold coins, columns of silver. Gold coins, mounds, columns of silver, and then heaps of little bronze knuts. And he was happy that the Dursleys didn't know about it, because if they did, that treasure would have been gone a long time ago, because Vernon always complained about how expensive it was to have Harry. So then we learn that the large gold coins are called galleons. And then there's 17 silver sickles to a galleon. And then there's 29 knuts to a sickle. And I think this is J.K. Rowling's kind of intro to us saying the magical world can be weird and completely nonsensical. And, 17 sickles, 29 knuts. Like, it's just odd, right? And so we're like, okay, this is fun. So they get enough money for, Hagrid says, this should last you a couple of terms. And so he's got a few years worth of coins on him.
So do you want to take a guess at how much money is in there? Maybe I should. I'm gonna hit the quiz music for this. This wasn't going to be my quiz question, but it's going to be now.
Play it.
I might have more than one quiz question, but so
Okay.
How much money do you think is in there? Because I just did a quick Google search.
So if so the gold, I mean, like, I'm trying to think, like, is the gold galleon being traded for USD, and then like how much money was in there?
I would assume this is converted to USD because it's written in USD.
I mean, with the amount of gold in there, at least nowadays, like an ounce. You know what an ounce of gold is right now? An ounce of gold right now it's like $2,000.
Jeez.
Like, yeah, an ounce of gold. Gold price per ounce, $2,749.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So if you look at 1 galleon, I mean, that's a large coin. That's probably 5,000 to 7,500, 5,000 to 7,500.
Yeah.
Right there. So if there was a mound of galleons, just in galleons, you're looking at hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, just in the gold. So, I mean, I don't like it. It's got to be a crazy number.
So if this is USD, it's $1,265,625.
I get that.
And Hagrid says that should be enough for a couple of terms. Was that his form of a joke, or does he also not know how much money is there?
No, it was once they put some of the money in a bag for him.
Okay,
Then
okay,
it was
okay.
it was the money that he put in the bag
That
or
makes
in a
sense.
pouch that he said
Yes.
that'll last you a couple of terms. Not
Okay. Oh yeah,
not the
yeah. I was
entire
like,
sequence.
what?
And then
All
my
right.
question is for those that have read the book, and I think it gets into it the um in the movies. Why wasn't Harry's parents' vault among one of the deepest in Gringotts?
I think is that they were ordinary people. I mean, they were well liked, but it's never explained unless J.K. Rowling herself came out and said it. It's never explained why they were so popular, what they did for work.
Well,
Um,
let's think about this. So, whose vaults are at the bottom of the deepest and most protected in Gringotts?
oh, wouldn't that
It's
be
not
the
the
Death?
it's not the
Wouldn't it be the Death
wealthiest.
Eaters?
No, it's the oldest wizarding families.
Okay.
So we know that Harry, if we go to year
Yeah, yeah,
seven,
yeah.
Harry is descended from Ignatius Peveril,
Hmm.
and that's an ancient wizarding family. So Harry's lineage is from a very ancient magical line. So even though it's inconsequential,
Yeah, yeah.
and this is one of those where while it has nothing to do with the story, it's neat to read the entire series, learn about Harry's family. Then you come back to this and it's like, well, wait a second. There should have been like he should have been deep down in there because if
Yeah,
he's
first book, first couple
yeah,
chapters,
yeah.
she
Yeah.
didn't
It's
think
just
that
fun.
far
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. It's just fun to think
Yeah.
about those things.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. So now we know that Harry is in United States lingo a millionaire if he was going to do all of that. So they get enough for a couple of terms. They get back on the ride. Hagrid hates it. They head to Vault 713, which is even deeper into the bank. And that vault had no keyhole. Griphook got out and he stroked the door with his finger, and then the door vanished. And he explains to Harry if anybody else tried that other than an official Gringotts goblin, they'd be sucked into the vault. And then Harry, being the 11-year-old, he's like, well, how often do you check the vaults to see if people are stuck in there? And Griphook's like, about once every 10 years.
Uh,
So read the sign. Read the sign.
yeah.
The Gringotts is the definition of mess around and find
And
out.
find out. Yeah.
Yeah, mess around and find out. So the door opens, the door vanishes. Harry looks inside and he's like, oh my gosh, this thing is going to be loaded. And there's nothing in there except a small little package on the floor. Hagrid picks it up, puts it in his pocket, said, all right, let's go. Let's go.
See, it's a little funny too. Maybe this thing was, well, obviously we know it needs to be well protected, but would the better idea be sort of like in Bellatrix's vault to put that in a vault full of other things rather than it being in a vault by itself where it's like, oh, there it is right there.
Sure.
If you happen to break in, which odds of that happening are slim to none. But
But not zero.
not impossible.
but not zero.
Yeah, I just wondered about that. Like, I understand the importance and the significance of like, ooh, this super important thing. That's the only thing in there. Whoa.
It's just sitting in there, yeah.
So now Hagrid recommends that Harry goes and gets his uniform and his robe. So now we're getting into the list. We're going to start buying the magical things. We're going to go to Madame Malkin's robes for all occasions. And we're going to feel nervous. Of course. What?
He's on his own. Yeah, he's on his own.
Oh. Man. Yeah, he finally broke off from Hagrid. Hagrid went to go, I'll be right back. very secretive.
You
Hagrid
gotta go
is.
get a drink. He's got to go to Leaky Cauldron. He did not like that ride. He's got to go get a drink.
That's probably what that is. Up to now, we've witnessed so much magic stuff that he's never imagined in his wildest dreams. One, because he wasn't really allowed to imagine that stuff or have dreams.
Yeah.
And now we're just, hey, let me take you off the leash real quick. Just don't get lost. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So she asked if he was there for Hogwarts uniforms because she was already working on another student's Hogwarts. And we get our first look at another. This is a rival before it even starts. So we get a first glimpse at a pale boy with a pointed face getting fitted for his school robes. Harry stands on a stool next to the other boy and starts talking to him. A conversation that gives us a glimpse of the type of person this blonde-haired boy is. They talk about his father getting his books, his mother looking at wands, So as we get into this, his mother looking at his wands, I'm going to say is stupid. It doesn't fit the narrative.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it as a descriptor of this character, it fits him perfectly, but that's not how you get your wand. That's not how this works. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but first years are not allowed broomsticks. I'm going to get a racing broomstick and smuggle it in. He hears about Quidditch and asks, what house do you think he'll be in? And the boy knows he'll be in Slytherin, just like all the rest of his family. The boy talks about how embarrassing it would be to be in my house, Hufflepuff.
Shots fired.
Speak for yourself, Draco.
We don't know who this boy is.
Speak for yourself, Blondie. Harry has no clue what that means. House? Hufflepuff? What are you talking about? The boy sees Hagrid outside the window with 2 ice cream cones. He derogatorily starts talking about Hagrid, and Harry remarks that he thinks Hagrid is brilliant.
Yeah.
The boy asks about his parents, and Harry says that they're dead. He gives a hollow sorry, which I'm actually surprised was put in there. Because he does, the way it's read sounds like, oh, sorry. Kind of sincere, but he doesn't really, he's a kid. He doesn't care. Who cares?
Well, I think the line is, he tells him, he says, what about your parents? Harry says they're dead because he didn't really want to talk about it with this kid.
Yeah.
And then because it does say that the blonde boy's voice is drawling, and he goes, oh, sorry. And then it says, which didn't sound like he was sorry at all. So he says,
still that he said it. Yeah. But so after he says sorry, he wants to know if there were any of what he wants to know if they were our kind. Oh, okay. So he wants to know if Harry's parents were our kind. But Harry doesn't think that the sort of other what the am I trying to read?
So he asks Harry if his parents were our kind, and that he doesn't think the other sort, referring to Muggles, should be allowed into Hogwarts.
Okay.
Guess I didn't write that very clearly.
Sometimes my brain doesn't connect stuff together.
That's all right.
Madam Malkin comes over and cuts their conversation short, to which Harry is grateful for. So okay, this is a perfect time. I'm going to do one more quiz. I know we're only supposed to do one per episode, but hey,
quiz.
Whatever. It's okay. Okay, I have to look at my notes. So, how many characters are in the book? How many characters are in the whole series of books? This is main characters you only see once. It could be animals. Maybe a name that's said but not explained who.
7 books, all characters. I'm going to say, so I'm going to narrow in on it. Is it less than 200?
No.
Is it less than 300?
No.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, so wow,
Yes.
that's crazy. Yeah.
So 772 characters are introduced throughout the whole series.
Wow.
Second question. We've read 4 chapters, not including this one. Or not read, but we've
Okay.
reread, tore apart, whatever you want to call it. How many characters do you think are introduced between chapters 1 through 4?
I love this. I love this very much. Okay, so I'm now. I need a few seconds. Okay, so we've got the Dursleys, we've got Harry, we've got his parents, we've got Hagrid. No, that's cool. And then we've got a handful of
I
them.
wish I could play the Jeopardy music.
Let's see. Is it between 1 and 4? One and
Chapters 1 and
four.
4, yes.
1 and 4. So you got the hotel guy. You got the milkman. It's less than 50.
Yes, less than 50.
More than 20.
Yes.
Less than 37.
No.
More than 37.
Yes.
Less than 43.
You're right on that dot with 43.
43. Okay.
43, yeah.
43,
According to
wow.
a Wikipedia search, yeah, 43. That's including
that's fun.
cats. That's including
Yeah.
names that were just brought up. But when I talk about the introduction to this book grabs you, the introduction to the series grabs you, this is what I'm talking about. 43 characters introduced in the first 4 chapters? That's insane. Usually you're introduced to like a handful of characters in the first couple chapters of
You
whatever
will hate
book you're
Game
reading.
of Thrones.
Well, yeah, I never got into that, so
Oh my
it's
gosh.
okay.
So many characters.
Oh, so we've been at this for an hour, so hopefully you guys are still with us. We're having fun with it. Hopefully you guys are having fun listening.
Yeah. Okay, so all of this happens in Madame Malkin's. Harry goes outside. He was kind of quiet while eating the ice cream. Hagrid brought some ice cream. Hagrid asks, hey, what's up? He goes, nothing's wrong. But obviously we know that a lot of things have been brought up. They go buy some ink. When they come back out, Harry's like, Hagrid, what's Quidditch? And he goes, oh, well, I forget how much you don't know about the wizarding world, which Harry hears. And then at this point, Harry was like, hey, don't make me feel worse. And Hagrid's like, well, no. It's our sport, like soccer in the real world. It's our sport, hard to explain.
Yeah.
So then he tells, I had this conversation with the boy in the robe shop, and he thought kids from Muggle families shouldn't be allowed in Hogwarts. And Hagrid's got to remind him, like, hey, you're not from a Muggle family. You were raised by Muggles, but your mom and dad were a witch and a wizard, and your mom was a Muggle, but she was a great witch. And
Yep.
she came from the same line that Petunia came from. So, get off that. Don't worry about that. So he kind of explains what Quidditch is. Then he explains the school houses and that you'd rather be in Hufflepuff than Slytherin. And then he says something that's very telling. There's not a single witch or wizard who went bad who wasn't in Slytherin. You know who was one. And then Harry was kind of surprised to find out that Voldemort went to Hogwarts. Which would be like, oh man, everybody's afraid of this guy, but he trained at Hogwarts. So then they go to Flourish and Blots. They get all the books. There's books, shapes, and sizes, stacked, big, small, some invisible. They get all of Harry's school books. While there, he was looking at a book of curses because he wanted to learn how to curse
Of course,
Dudley.
yeah.
And Hagrid's like, I'm not
See?
saying that's a bad idea, but then he teaches him something that comes up in all of the books. Harry's not allowed to do magic in the Muggle world except in very special circumstances. So they go get his.
Still brings up issues.
Which still brings up issues. So, politics.
Yes, yeah,
Politics.
oh yeah, yes.
So they
Gotta
get his
love
pewter
it.
cauldron, they get his scales, they get his telescope, they go to the apothecary to get all of his potion ingredients. And then Hagrid remarks, okay, all we've got left to do is get your wand. And then Hagrid says he also wants to get him a birthday present. And Harry blushes, basically. Nobody's ever given him a real, so he's like, you don't have to do that. And Hagrid's like, shut up, Harry, I'll do what I want. I'm Hagrid. I'm Rubius Hagrid, okay?
Yes.
I'm going to do what I want. So they go, and Harry gets his owl.
Yeah.
which
Yeah. Ooh.
plays more of an important role in the book than you think it would.
Oh
As
yeah. It's
they
crazy.
barely describe the owl. They don't even name the owl, but becomes a very important character to, I think, 99.99% of the readers. Like,
Oh
it's a very
yeah.
important
Oh yeah.
character. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So they get the owl, and then he says one of the lamest things ever. And he goes, all the kids want owls. They're dead useful. Carry your mail and everything like that. And everything. And it's like, they're dead useful? You mean they're replacing emails? Like,
Yeah.
there's all the kids want owls. They carry your
Well,
mail. It's like,
it's
okay,
like when you get
Hagrid.
older. When you get older, you get excited about stupid things, I guess, and nothing that you would be excited about as a kid, but as an adult, you're like, oh, they carry your mail. That's you don't understand
Oh
how
my
awesome
gosh.
that is. And the kid's
My
like,
wife
no, that's
My wife came home with my wife came home with a couple new stone pots yesterday, and I was like, "Yeah, let's cook
that
with these. Let's break these bad boys in. Let's
see, that's
go,
exciting.
let's go." So he gets his owl. They get your mail and stuff and all this stuff, and then probably my favorite part of this chapter. Now he's going to get his wand.
So before we get to the one, so what are your thoughts on Hagrid being the one to show Harry Potter around everywhere? But not only that, anytime Harry asks him something very, very specific, Hagrid feels maybe he's not important enough or he doesn't have the right words to explain certain things. Oh, I don't think I should be the one explaining that to you. So what do you think
You
the
know,
reasoning would be behind that? Because it kind of puts Hagrid in a weird position. It gets you to the point where you're thinking, well, this guy's not very smart. That's the only way I could go about saying that. Really, like, of course he knows everything. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
so I have a few theories about this. Um, I think Dumbledore doesn't do it because of what happened with Tom Riddle.
Oh, okay, yes.
Okay, so Dumbledore went to Tom, um, and then they kind of didn't get off to a good start, but that was really on Tom. I don't think Minerva is maternal. It's not going to be
It
Snape.
doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, it's not going to be Snape. And Hagrid,
No.
and the fun thing about Hagrid. So here's what we know about Hagrid, that we learn later in the books. His father died when he was young, and obviously his mother. It's not in their nature to be maternal. So Hagrid has the psychological bandwidth of a child that was left orphaned, not as a baby, but kind of midway through childhood. So not saying and this is just from what I learned in my psychology classes in undergrad and in my doctorate degree. There are certain events that happen in everyone's life that will alter their thought patterns and their emotional regulatory state. Like it's just to kind of
Oh
narrow
yeah,
that down. So
the human
Hagrid,
brain is an amazing thing.
yeah, so Hagrid acts like a person who was orphaned with knowledge of his parents
Yeah.
and then was taken in by the boarding school, and then he was framed, right? Now he's framed and he can't do magic, so he's part of the magical community but not an active participant in the magical community. So he seems like just this, everyone is a friend until they become a foe. And because he loves Harry, and that's why, like, oh, Hagrid, why is this? And then he says it, and then he goes, oh, I should not
Shouldn't
have
have said
said that.
that.
I should not have said that.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
those are, and again, those are just theories. And, I think Dumbledore wanted to, from the very beginning, take Harry under his wings.
Oh yeah.
Take
Yeah.
Harry and say, Harry,
Hagrid also has like a paternal feeling about him, like kind of like Harry's father figure.
yes.
I don't even think it's ever mentioned anything like that, but Hagrid is very much like a father
Yeah.
figure to Harry.
And
And
what's wild is Hagrid right now is what, 61, 62 years old? 62 years old, which is weird to think about.
yeah, and he's young, so
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
that's
Got
even
that half
crazier to
giant
think
blood.
about. Yeah. So the best part of the chapter, this is another iconic part of Harry
Oh, dare
Potter.
we say iconic?
But you can even go to Universal Studios now and have this sort of experience, which I haven't, and it looks like that you have.
It is very exciting.
Yes, I have not had that experience. So, Harry Potter has slash gets to go by his wand.
Yes.
The wand maker in this part of the country is Ollivander, and his shop is fittingly called Ollivanders, makers of fine wands since 382 BC.
Pop quiz time.
Okay, okay. I'll hit the
Pop quiz
music
time.
again. We will finish the chapter eventually.
What is Ollivander's first name?
Garrick.
Oh,
Oh!
very nice. Very nice.
David, it didn't even give that a breath.
Good. I would expect nothing nothing less from a Harry Potter podcast host.
Harry walks in. The hair on the back of his neck tingled. It felt as though the very air in the shop was filled with some sort of magic. We meet the wand maker, and he recognizes Harry because he has his mother's eyes. He remembered her wand. 10 1/4 in. I can't really remember his voice. 10 1/4 inches long, swishy, made of willow. Nice one for charm work. I think that works.
That was good. I loved it.
His father favored a mahogany wand, 11 inches, pliable, a bit more power, and excellent for transfiguration. Which these two things just fit them flawlessly. Ah,
I like to think of what Harry. I like to think Harry at that point. He just found out. This is still his birthday, right? So
yeah.
he meets
what an amazing birthday.
he meets Hagrid. He meets Hagrid at midnight. They talk for 30 minutes, an hour, go to sleep, wake up. This is the same day. So he just learned that his parents were witches and wizards.
Oh yeah.
Just learned that they died at the hands of Voldemort. And now I feel like when Ollivander talks about his mom and dad when they were 11 at this stage, I can only imagine how Harry is just like, tell me more about my mom. Tell me more about my mom and dad. Like, oh, just, yeah.
It's like he gets little snippets here and there. And
Yeah.
that's about it. Yeah. Nobody sits down and tells him a story. Oh, this one time. Oh, 2 hours later. No, none of that happens.
Yeah.
Garrick Ollivander makes a statement that eventually shapes the story. Well, I say your father favored it. It's really the wand that chooses the wizard, of course. Mr. Ollivander touches the lightning scar on Harry's forehead and tells him that he sold the very wand that made that scar. 13 1/2 inches, you powerful wand, very powerful in the wrong hands. Well, if I'd have known that wand was going out into the world to do... In an effort to change this... Oh, this part. Okay,
love it.
we're finally getting to it. Can we... do we need to wait till we introduce Dumbledore's wand? Should we wait or just...
It's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to you.
I think we'll wait. Oh,
Okay.
It kills me to wait.
Okay.
In an effort to change the subject, he sees Hagrid and proclaims, "Oak, 16 inches. Rather bendy, wasn't it? Good wand, that one, but I suppose they snapped it in half when you got expelled." He then makes sure Hagrid isn't using the broken wand and gives him a piercing, almost knowing look.
Especially as Hagrid grips his pink umbrella.
Yes.
Because in there, he goes, "Oh, they snapped it in half," and he goes, "Yes, but I've still got the pieces." Like he's all excited, and then Ollivander's like, "But you're not using them, are you?" And it's like, "Oh no, I would never do that."
I see that the most famous quote in Harry Potter is in your part, and I beg of you to do it the utmost justice that you can. When we get to it.
I'll see what I can do. But just to kind of reiterate what we were talking about earlier, Ollivander says, "I say your father favored it, but it's really the wand that chooses the wizard, of course." So the pale, pointed-faced boy, why would his mom...
Exactly.
Why would his mom be looking at wands for him? It doesn't make sense.
Nope, it doesn't. Nope, terrible.
So he gives... so Ollivander, which I have a cat named Ollivander. Just throwing that out there.
Nice.
He chastises Hagrid, then he goes back to Harry. And then he starts measuring Harry up and down, side to side, wrist to arm, shoulder to blah, blah, blah. And he starts talking, and he starts going about looking for wands, and Harry realizes that he's still being magically measured by this thing. And he says, so we get a little bit of education. "Every Ollivander wand has a core of powerful magical substance, Mr. Potter. We use unicorn hairs, phoenix's tail feathers, and the heartstrings of dragons. No two Ollivander wands are the same, just as no two unicorns, dragons, or phoenixes are quite the same. And of course, you will never get such good results with another wizard's wand."
Yes.
So Ollivander brings him wand after wand after wand, and he has him hold the wand, grip the wand, slash the wand, see what happens, and fail. Soon there's this mound of wands that Harry has tried building up, and as this is going on, Ollivander he gets a little excited. Ollivander's okay.
Like Ollivander himself is the kid in the candy shop right now. The challenge is in front of him, and it's the perfect challenge. It's a challenge he's been waiting for 11 years.
Yes, a tricky customer. So he's flitting around even more, and then he stops at a wand that will become locked in the hearts of Harry Potter fans the world over. Holly and Phoenix Feather. 11 inches, nice and supple. So he grabs it, and he feels warmth, and then he loves it. So we're going to read this because it's too good to paraphrase. Okay, it's too. We got to read this one. "Harry took the wand, and he felt a sudden warmth in his fingers. He raised the wand above his head, brought it swishing down through the dusty air, and a stream of red and gold sparks shot from the end like a firework, throwing dancing spots of lights onto the walls. Hagrid whooped and clapped, and Mr. Ollivander cried, "Oh, bravo! Yes, indeed. Oh, very good. Well. How curious. How very curious." He put Harry's wand back into its box and wrapped it in its brown paper, still muttering, "Curious. Sorry."
There's not a lot here to explain. It's just written so well, and everything about it is great. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and march forward.
So then Harry says, "Sorry," said Harry, "but what's curious?" Mr. Ollivander fixed Harry with his pale stare. "I remember every wand I've ever sold, Mr. Potter. Every single wand. It so happens that the phoenix, whose tail feather is in your wand, gave another feather, just one other. It is very curious indeed that you should be destined for this wand when its brother gave you that scar." Harry swallowed. "Yes, 13.5 inches. Curious indeed how these things happen. The wand chooses the wizard, remember. I think we must expect great things from you, Mr. Potter. After all, he who must not be named did great things. Terrible, yes, but great.
Uh, when you have a
Chills.
villain that is when you have a villain that is so good at being the villain that he does great things, you have to remember they're terrible, but they're great at the same time.
And
It's
what's cool is this is the first connection
yes,
or similarity that Harry shares with Voldemort,
yeah.
which I think at this point, well, she had been writing stuff for 5 years before she wrote this, so
Oh
she
yeah,
might have, she knew at this point, but yeah,
like I
think
said,
it's
there's
pretty
not a
cool.
lot. There's not a lot to unpack here.
Yeah,
It's all written very clearly. It's just terrible but great. This is why you know who is my favorite character. My favorite character in the whole entire series. I'm
I'm
one
sorry to
to
hear that.
like. I'm one to like the villain. If they do a good job, which he was written
Yeah,
beautifully, he was portrayed in the movies beautifully, and yeah, most of my favorite characters are villains from Harry Potter, just because they do so good. It's like
sure.
where's the flaw? I can't find it. Yeah, it's he could have done this better. Really? Could he? Could he have? Nah,
Yeah.
I don't think so. So now we leave the shop, Diagon Alley, the Leaky Cauldron, and over to the train station. While they're eating, Harry couldn't explain that he had just had the best birthday of his life, but we can explain, and if you've been listening to us, you know exactly why Harry would be thinking this is the best birthday he's ever had.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But he couldn't shake the fact that everyone he met today knew him to be some great famous wizard, and that he knows absolutely nothing about magic. He doesn't know any of these people he's seen.
Yeah.
He still doesn't fully understand why he's famous. Hagrid's explained a little bit, but why would somebody be famous for not dying?
Right. Yeah.
He's too young to understand it at this point. So Hagrid reassures him that he'll learn fast enough. Everyone starts at the beginning at Hogwarts. Everyone starts at the beginning, no matter where you're at. You start. You don't start in the middle or the end. You start at the beginning. So, but this is fatherly advice that Hagrid is giving. You'll learn fast enough. Everyone starts at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's some heartwarming stuff to be
Yeah.
telling. Yeah. Harry gets on the train to. Harry gets on the train to head back to the Dursleys. Hagrid gives him an envelope for the train ticket to Hogwarts that leaves from King's Cross Station September 1st. He tells him that if he has any problems with the Dursleys, to send him a letter by Owl. The Owl will know where to find him. Harry blinks, and Hagrid is gone. Then he heads back home. This is a huge debate in the Harry Potter world. He's a giant. We'll just say he's 14 feet tall,
Sure.
give or take.
Sure.
How do you just disappear? You don't just disappear. Which leads me to believe Hagrid could apparate. How else would he just disappear?
He's got a wand with him,
Yeah.
and he's lived within close proximity of Dumbledore, who trusts him implicitly, for the last 51 plus years. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Dumbledore was like, Hagrid, you got to learn a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get into my theory about his wand later.
I like that. One of the things that we didn't talk about that Ollivander says, he goes, he talks about how great his wands. He's like, you won't find any better wands by any other wand makers, which is cool. So we find out that
There are
Yeah, we
other
find
wild
out.
makers.
Yeah, we find out Ollivander's not the only one, and yeah, this is by far chapter 5. Thus far, is the best chapter.
Yes.
Like I said at the beginning, this is the one that I'm hooked. I'm in. I'm. All my chips are in the middle. I need to know how this goes.
This is also our longest chapter. Maybe that's because we need to get better at shortening the chapter down. But there's a lot of information in this chapter.
So much.
I think as we go on, the chapters will get shorter. At least our episodes will get shorter. But there's just so much packed in these developing chapters. I mean, how could we make a chapter short introducing the Wizarding World? Like, this is the start to Harry Potter right here.
Yeah.
Diagon Alley, people walking by and not seeing it, which it's because there's an enchantment put on these buildings so that the Muggles can't see them. So that's a little deep dive into that. A lot of these explanations that maybe you have thought about or haven't thought about, unfortunately, have simple explanations. You're expecting some long, complicated. No, sometimes it's just there's a charm put on it so that the Muggles can't see it. Bam. There you go. So, I mean, you wouldn't want them wandering in there. But then on the other hand, if they wandered in there, I'm not entirely sure they would notice anything is off.
Yeah, so we see, it's almost like the extreme in the Wizarding world is, Secret Keeper. And then there's other enchantments, like if a Muggle gets anywhere close to Hogwarts, they just see like a bog and signs that say turn around. And, Leaky Cauldron, it's like, okay, yeah. We just don't even notice that it's there. Yeah.
So join us next time as Chapter 6 is coming right up. Platform from 9 3/4, man.
This journey from platform at 9 3/4.
Yeah, so far we are just getting into this head over heels. There's not a lot to explain thus far, but we will get into it. So
we'll get there.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, you want to be a guest, email us at squibscorner@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of me directly, Instagram at AccioPotterGuy. Check out my unboxings on YouTube. And Andrew, go ahead and get us out of here.
We're going to leave with a quote. And we're going to paraphrase Hagrid's quote to Harry when he feels like there's a lot of pressure for him to be this great and famous wizard. So we're going to paraphrase it. And he goes, and this is for anybody that's going through something hard or starting something new, or they find themselves in a position where they don't think that they have what it takes to do what they need to do.
All right.
And so Hagrid says, don't you worry. Everyone starts at the beginning. You'll be just fine. Just be yourself. I know it's hard. You've been singled out, and that's always hard, but you'll have a great time. I did. I still do, as a matter of fact.